The annual meeting of world leaders at the UN General Assembly will be missing several key players this year, including Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Hu Jintao.
This year there's probably no single unifying high-level event which would attract a particular number of heads of state.
I actually wouldn't be surprised in this case if there's some discomfort on the part of both the Russian president and Chinese president, because there are some pretty tricky issues that are dividing the United States and the Western powers with those two countries, not least the situation in Syria.
The conflict in Syria is not on the agenda, but it will be the focus of bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the General Assembly.
There will be a Security Council meeting at foreign ministers' levels that the Germans are chairing, which is focused mainly on the Middle East more widely and the relationship between the UN and the Arab League, but obviously all the interventions will cover Syria and indeed will be dominated by Syria in that debate.
U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will also chair a Friends of Syria meeting while she's in New York for the Assembly.
It is very important that the difficulties we're experiencing in Syria, the tragedy that we're experiencing, doesn't contaminate the overall political situation on the Middle East in our cooperation with the Arab world.
President Obama will address the General Assembly and is slated to meet with Egypt's newly elected president, Mohamed Morsi.
He's likely to be cautious with respect to launching any major new initiatives or making any promises or setting any major red lines, either in the case of Syria or in the case of Iran.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to blast the international community for refusing to set red lines in its efforts to keep Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
The nuclear issue in the Iranian case is a matter of very grave concern to the European Union.
Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad will focus on his country's right to have nuclear power, while political directors from the U.S., Russia, China, France, and Britain hold a meeting on the same issue.
He will reiterate, as he has in the past, that Iran's nuclear program is completely peaceful.
Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, will address the world body. Abbas says the Palestinians will pursue non-member observer state status in the General Assembly, giving them the same status as the Vatican at the UN.
Palestinian Authority could attend and participate in UN meetings, would have a non-voting role.
A terrorist attack forced Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai to cancel his UN speech last year. This week, Karzai will meet privately with U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and speak to the General Assembly. The world will be watching to see how President Hamid Karzai will address the recent spate of insider attacks that has killed 51 coalition members and caused the United States to suspend its joint military operations with Afghan forces. Frank Ucciardo for CBS News, New York.